Welcome to the Android Headline Show. I'm your host, Chris Yackulic, and today on our show, it's episode number 23. We're going to talk about the Tablet Z from Sony, the HTC M7, the Motorola X Phone, Galaxy Note 8.0, Optimus G Pro, and Galaxy S4. I'd like to introduce my co-host this week. As usual, Alex the Great, Maxim from Detroit Rock City in the brittle cold. How you doing, Alex? I see you have your coat on. It must be cold in the house.
Yeah, it's like 9 degrees outside, so it's pretty cold.
Awesome. Nice and warm. And to my right, we have Randy Arrowood coming to us from the Bourbon State, Kentucky. How you doing, Randy?
Bourbon, a man after my own heart. It's yeah.
Need some bourbon, buddy. I hear it's cold out there too.
It's cold. It's I'm not going to describe it like I did a few minutes ago. But
testicle freezing temperatures.
My nuts exploded from the freezing about an hour ago. It's cold.
I'll take your word for it, because here in sunny California, it's back up to like 70 degrees Celsius, so I'm happy. The Arctic blast is now over. Over to our resident and assistant, associate, whatever, editor, Tom the Duke Dawson, coming to you from Buckingham Palace,
yes.
Home of the Queen and the Dutch and Duke and all the whole royalty family.
This is where they live.
This is where they live. That's the That's the royalty there, eh, Tom?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. You're in the. Are you in the basement of Buckingham Palace? Is that where you're coming to us from?
Yeah, they won't let me use any of the halls or anything. It's all cordoned off.
Oh, great, Tom. And the weather's not too freezing out there now, because usually we talk to you every week. It's either rainy or cold.
I would settle for some rain.
Rain? Okay.
No, I would settle for some rain because it would clear the streets of the snow.
Oh.
Snow.
All right, guys. It's time to get your droid on, everyone. So let's delve right into this week. We have tons of rumors. Rumors have been flying out fast and furious. Mobile World Conference is coming up at the end of February. Leaks are coming out everywhere, worse than the Titanic. So we're going to first start off with an actual announcement that was made this weekend. Came out of Japan. All a great place to announce your product right away. Tom, what did Sony have to announce this week?
A new Sony tablet, the Xperia Tablet Z. I was going to say Z, but then.
Well, you better say it for both, just in case. Some people at home might not know what you're talking about.
Tablet, and it's got a
temp. You got cut out. The Queen was trying to censor that part.
Oh, honestly, these royals, it's terrible. Now Sony's new tablet, Xperia Tablet Z. It's their 10.1-inch tablet that they've announced in Japan. It was launched today by NTT Docomo, and it's got a 10.1-inch full HD display, which is 1920 by 1080. I think it's actually 1920 by 1200, I think, but I'm not sure what funny resolution they use. It's got a Qualcomm's Snapdragon S4 Pro processor at 1.5 gigahertz. It's got an 8.1 megapixel camera. It's got NFC. Comes with 4.1 Jelly Bean. It weighs 495 grams, and it's a ridiculously 6.9 millimeters thin.
Wow. Now, this thing is a pretty sharp-looking tablet, or just has some really great wallpaper. But when you actually look at the device, and if you go to our site and check it out, it's a sharp-looking tablet. I mean, I wouldn't throw this out. This thing looks pretty sharp.
Yeah, and it definitely takes after the Xperia Z. It's got this same sort of monolithic design. There's very little flair to it, and even the dual aluminium lock, power wake button is the same on the Z and the Tablet Z. Only difference is the back is not glass. It's soft touch rubberized material.
Well, definitely will be an eye-catching tablet. Any word on when we might see this coming to North America? Is there any word, or is it right now just strictly Japan launch?
No, it's only been launched for Japan right now, and the only place it has been launched is on NTT Docomo, where it'll have LTE. But I mean, they launched the Xperia Tablet S and the original Tablet S and the Tablet P in the US, so I don't see why they wouldn't bring it to the States.
Well, we can only hope. I mean, they haven't had the greatest North American marketing or connection with some of the carriers in the past, but I would definitely think that this Z line is, you know, kind of their coming out party. These are high-end devices and definitely worthy of, you know, our consumers' dollars. And if they want to get them into the hands of, you know, lots of consumers, they're going to need to get these out, whether it be in the Best Buys or the, you know, the Staples in the U.S. or wherever they want to market them. You know, obviously, unless, you know, there's an LTE version, maybe potentially down the road, some carriers could pick them up. But I think that this, you know, there hasn't been a lot of great tablets options out there, and I think that this has a potential to be one of the better tablets out there on the market. And hopefully Sony will do a good job on marketing it and getting it out into the hands of the consumers, and just not leaving this to the European, Japanese market like they have tended to do in the past.
I'll take it.
Me too. Randy, would you like this tablet?
I almost bought that wedge one. What was that? What was that?
The big wedge one, the thicker one. Yeah, the Tablet S. That was a cool. That was a cool one.
Tablet S, the waterproof, dust-proof. That turned out not to be so waterproof version.
Oh no, that was the Xperia Tablet S. The original one was thicker.
Oh, the original.
More of a slant, and then they did the Xperia Tablet S, which was just had a weird back.
Yeah, I came so close to buying that one at Micro Center. I liked it. I mean, but ultimately I decided that the wedge just wasn't something I could live with. Now, Tom, what the hell did you say this thing? Aluminum? What is this made out of?
No idea.
Aluminum. You know it.
Aluminum.
Aluminum. There we go.
You mean aluminium? There's an I in there, isn't there?
Aluminum. How many eyes? Anyway, I like the tablet. I like the looks of it. I'm not sure that. You know, it doesn't say Nexus, so it's probably not going to find a spot in my life. But I really like the looks of it.
Is definitely a sharp-looking tablet, and they have their mobile Bravia Engine 2 on it, kind of their skin on it, and Sony does some really nice interfaces and UI designs. And while most of us are not fans of stuff that is thrown on top of stock Android, they actually do a good job of it, and it's not as bloated. And and it has some real artistic value, some creative design to it. So for some people, that may not be their cup of tea, but they don't do a bad job, and it is easy on the eyes.
And they do get around to updating the OS on their devices eventually too, which a lot of the OEMs seem to get tripped up on. So
yeah, it's true. They actually, it's funny. They've had some devices where it's kind of a mixed bag on how they update them, but some of their higher end devices, they seem to be really on top of them, and they've been working closely with Google, so on updating some of their devices. So I think Sony could be a major player. Definitely, I think HTC and LG could have some competition in this next year with these new Sony devices. So guys, let's move on to our next one. Let's go back to Tom here. Put Tom right back on the hot seat. HTC, we have been hearing about this new HTC M7 we've been talking about forever now. Over the weekend, Android Police threw out some renders. We don't know if these are the actual ones or not. But why don't you go with the story and let everyone know what took place over the weekend with some leaks here.
Yeah, so we've all known that HTC are working on a new device that's codenamed the M7, and it looks as if it's going to be their new sort of flagship, like the One X and the One series was last year at MWC. And And over the weekend, we had a few things came out. We had like what looked to be a press render that came from Pocket Now. Someone tipped them off with a press render, and then Android Police got some sort of leaked shots of an actual physical device, and there have been a plethora of screenshots leaked from what looks to be Sense 5 as well.
Now, it actually, you know, we've talked about the hardware specs, you know, and why don't you just roll those out quickly so we can go on from there. What is this thing supposed to roll down with?
You're basically looking at Droid DNA, so that's a full HD 1080p display, Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro. However much storage they want to throw in there, it's obviously going to have Beats audio, but whether or not that means it's going to have the amplifier from the Droid DNA, we don't know. But basically, it's going to be a Droid DNA. We don't know whether or not they're going to have a larger battery size in there, but odds on expandable storage and a removable battery are pretty slim.
Now it is a sharp looking device. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it looks really great. You know, the Sense updated. You know, I hate Sense. I don't like Sense personally.
Sense.
You know, makes no sense to me. But realistically, I'm not a huge Sense fan. But they definitely have, you know, put some more eye candy, some, you know, tweak the looks of it, and the UI looks a little bit sharper. It's coming around. Hopefully it's not as bloated. They've trimmed it down. It looks like a super nice phone from what we're seeing. The variation of it doesn't look too off from what you said as the HTC DNA or J Butterfly or whatever the hell they're calling it in Japan. I'm a little baffled that they would come out with something that's so close to the DNA and not have something, because when they come to launch this Mobile World Conference, I'm like, oh, it's the Droid DNA. Wow.
Yeah.
So could these leaks, could we be looking at just some fake ones, maybe with some wallpapers, some photoshopping, who knows, or a test device running something inside, just running the hardware inside, because this is just a DNA in my eyes, right?
Yeah, I mean, it basically is a DNA, but realistically, it's sort of, HTC have often played the game of being first. Like, the One X came out.
Tom's thinking about that thought there for a minute, but I think where he was going with that thought is that HTC has a tendency to take their devices, take a great device, repolish it up a little bit, and then put it out as the new, better model, almost like an iPhone type of mentality in the past, where they re-released these phones a little, tiny, freshened up.
Yeah, especially
more or
with
less,
especially with the Sensation line.
The Sensation line. I mean, there was, what was it? Not last year, the year before.
Yeah, 2011.
Basically re-released every single phone in their lineup as the second version, and and did some minute changes to these devices.
That's when they really started losing their money.
Yeah, it obviously affected their bottom line, their earnings. It really started to affect them, and as well also, the consumers, showed with their pocketbooks that you're going to have to bring an A game, every time, and just not throw a new coat of paint on it and a brand new version of Sense and hope that we're going to go out and buy it. So I kind of feel here that putting out just a DNA version, and calling it something else is really not going to capture the attention of the Android community, and they may potentially show that with their wallets once again. Randy, I know you've gone off a few times in the past on HTC for this. What are your thoughts? You figure, are they going down the same road, or are we just kind of hammering on them a little too early because we don't know?
It looks just like this, except for without the 4G LTE logo on the back.
Do we have that?
And
Do
for
we have that
YouTube
dump
at
button?
home, just 1 second. And for YouTube at home, we have the rights and the permissions to show that device on air from the manufacturer because YouTube likes to, give us a hard time that we don't have the rights for something.
The only difference I can tell between those images and the DNA, the home button and the recent buttons are switched, which looks stupid to me.
And sense. Right.
Yeah, and then all the Verizon logos.
So, if this is the device, things are going to be looking bad in 2013 if this is going to be the flagship device.
Unless it's the USA GSM DNA.
Or
T-Mobile and AT&T.
Or they launch 3 devices and this is at the bottom of the pile is all we can hope for.
Well,
Randy,
if this is their low-end one with those kind of specs, I'd love to see their high-end one.
Exactly. That's just being me optimistic. Trying to see some light somewhere. Randy, what do you want to say about that?
HTC. This is what they're. Me personally, if HTC's selling it, I'm not buying it. They've been retreading the same designs and the same phones for as long as I've been buying Android devices. Nothing's ever really changed with them. And I say that my wife, she's been a loyal Incredible user. She won't even look at anything else. The Incredible, then the S, and now the Incredible 4G. She absolutely loves her HTC phone. No, don't even send me one for free because it's going to go right in the can. HTC to me, they're taking up good space on the shelf. Well,
and in all fairness, they have some really beautiful designs, and and some nice phones.
But it's HTC. At the end of the day, it's still HTC. I don't want to cross over too much here, but they make phones. They sell phones that run other operating systems, and maybe you've seen these Fruit Loop colored phones that are running Windows Phone, the HTC 8X. I hang out in a forum for Windows Phone owners because
what the hell are you doing there?
I have a Windows Phone, and I love to go there, and I love to read all the Google hate that these people spew, but that's beside the point. HTC can't even paint a red phone red and get it right. The people are putting them in their pants pockets, and the colors are rubbing off, and they're pulling a page out of Apple's book and saying, well, you're not doing it right. Don't put it in your pocket. HTC has been in the shit.
Don't put it in your pocket? Oh, my God.
Don't put it in your pocket. Yeah, don't put it in your pocket. Yeah, put it in a case so the paint can rub off inside of the case and put that whole thing in your pocket. HTC, they lost me with the Thunderbolt. I hate them. They're a scourge on the entire mobile industry, and I wish they would dry up and go back to Hong Kong. It's just I hate HTC and who the hell names a phone Butterfly? I don't care if it was the Japanese. What a bunch of retarded. Seriously. Butterfly, DNA. What are they calling this thing? The M7. What the hell does that mean? Is it a phone? Is it a rifle? What is it supposed to do exactly? Well, I'll tell you what it's not supposed to do. It's not supposed to get OS updates. That's what it's not supposed to do.
How do you really feel, though, Randy? How do you really
feel? I'm done. That's it.
I hear where you're going, buddy. I hear where you're going with
I
that.
hate HTC.
And some of the problems we pointed out on the show this year, the HTC, they had their 1 series, and, all the phones all looked alike. Okay, that's great for the 1 series. But then they decided that only one carrier was going to get, their flagship device. Why not put them on all the carriers for the HTC lovers?
Because none of the other carriers wanted them. You think HTC wouldn't have been on every carrier in the U.S. if they could have been? Nobody else wanted them. Verizon doesn't want, they've got the DNA, the Droid DNA, but, that's only because HTC allows them to control everything about the device. Nobody else wanted them. But T-Mobile might have, but that's T-Mobile.
Yeah, but, you would think there's some, there are some HTC lovers out there, and there might be some on, on Sprint that wanted the X1 instead of, giving, rebranding it to Evo, maybe, on T-Mobile, why couldn't they get a 1X? Why don't they take their flagship devices to all the carriers like that? That's one of the little gripes, and hopefully they come out on all carriers this year for the HTC fans that are out there. The other thing that I kind of had a gripe with is, what we came out with last year. What was it? The HTC One X Plus, the One X Plus.
More lipstick on a pig. It's just more lipstick on a pig.
X.
And it's like, how about you change up that design a little bit instead of, throwing, very small updates, not even enough to really justify paying for an upgrade or even, sending out a press release about it.
Because that's not what they do. It's not what they do. It's never been what they do, and it's never going to be what they do.
Well, hopefully we are not going to see the Droid DNA 2 or 1 rebranded as the M7. Because
the
if I
Droid
really
DNA Plus.
They talk about needing some innovation and some creativity, and they're worried about marketing. Well, first you need to, put out some decent devices worth marketing. Nothing against the Droid DNA, decent device on its own right, but, come out with something new if you're going to throw out a brand new line. Anyways, let's not get too far. Who knows? That might just, it may not be the final device. As we say when it comes to rumor time, take stuff with a grain of salt. It may not be the final M7 device. It doesn't look too bad, but it's crazy. Let's move on to Alex here, seeing Tom's gone DOA on us. Not that he was supposed to do the next story here, but Alex
I hope he's
covered
not
this.
dead.
He may be. It could be the what do they call them there? They have the secret police of the.
No, I'm worried.
Buckingham Palace came in and shut his ass down.
Can't let anything happen to Token.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go over here to Alex and let's talk about some Motorola, buddy. Over the last week, it started out with first some rumors about these Motorola X Phone. What happened? What's the news? Give us the lowdown on it, buddy.
Well, there's been a lot of rumors about the.
I know. I want to hear them all. Get me up to speed.
It's supposed to be coming or being announced at Google I/O in May and be the first device with a keyline Pi, which I'm assuming would be Android 4. Or 5.0.
Okay.
And then yesterday, some more rumors came out that the current target date for release is July 8th, and it'll be on all carriers. All versions will be sold through the Google Play Store, like the way the Nexus line is right now. And it'll be on Verizon for $299 on contract. And then Verizon will allow you to unlock the bootloader and charge you $15 per month.
What did you say?
Say it again for him, buddy. Tell him what this rumor was about Verizon here.
Verizon will unlock the bootloader for you and charge you $15 per month for it.
Okay. If anybody walks into a Verizon store and agrees to pay them $15 a month for an unlocked bootloader, you're a dumbass.
Yeah, there's no way about it. I mean, you need an unlocked bootloader. You're not on Verizon. If you're throwing ROMs, and hacking your phone, you should not be on Verizon. As you know, I don't even want to compare it, but they're like the Nazis of the cell phone world and controlling everything that's going on.
There is nothing that they won't do to get a tighter grip on your nuts to squeeze another quarter out of your pocket. No. I'm telling you, if that's true, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So let's break down this rumor a bit. The Verizon one, I don't know. I mean, if it could or not. We'll save that.
It sounds like something Verizon would do.
Stupid Verizon would do. No doubt. I wouldn't put it past them.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, look at their shared data plans.
But
what's the point in that?
Shit on them a ton once it actually happens. Let's get on to this phone and this X phone here that possibly could be debuting. The X phone. Has any specs leaked for this, Alex, yet?
Yeah, they're saying it's going to come with a 5-inch 1080p display, quad-core processor, 2 gigs of RAM, a 12-megapixel camera, keyline Pi, which is probably going to be Android 5.0, I would guess, and then a 3300 milliamp battery, about the same one that's in the Droid Razr Max HD, and it'll have small bezels like the Razr M.
So, I mean, it sounds like a decent device, definitely. It's strange that it's coming out for Google I/O. As you know, no Nexus actual phones have been released at Google I/O before, so maybe this is why they're doing the X phone. So who knows? This is a Google I/O rumor. Google keeps this stuff really, really tight. Excuse me. Tight-lipped.
Wow.
So it's hard to really know if we could see this happen. I know Motorola fans out there would love to see one. They would love for, kind of a Nexus Google Pure device out of Motorola. Everyone's been waiting for it. They were hoping that they were going to be the next makers of Nexus device, and maybe they've, don't want to wait that long, and their coming out party might be the Motorola X Phone. That could be potential. What do you think on it, Randy?
Google needs to just shut up and take my money. I will never have another phone in my pocket that runs on the Verizon network. But if I can buy an unlocked X phone for T-Mobile or AT&T, something like that, I want two. I don't care what the specs are like. If it's running Keyline Pi and Google's going to update it, they need to just shut up and take my money. They have my credit card number. They can just go ahead and send me one right now. I love it. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how much it weighs. I don't even care if it fits in my damn pocket. I'll take it.
Sounds good, buddy.
And I think this is just the start. Today it's called the Motorola X Phone. Next year's is going to be called the Google something phone. I'll touch on a lot of this in a story that I'm going to run tomorrow, but about Samsung. But I think this could be the first step down the path of Google becoming, selling Google
pure
phones.
phone manufacturer on their own.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a whole can of worms that I look
We'll get to that tomorrow.
We'll get into that one.
We'll get to that tomorrow.
We'll have you back next week, Randy, so you can delve into that and throw out your thoughts and educate the people at home on that, because that's a whole.
I'll take the X phone. I'll take the. I don't care. I don't care what it is, what it's like, what it looks like. I don't even care.
They're already sold. There we go. Perfect. I mean, can't be any
Google,
worse than the Nexus 4. Let's not even go there.
Charge me and let's have it.
Alex, there's more to this story. And there was another story you had covered today, and it's more rumors on this X phone as well too. And besides the Verizon stuff, what else did we learn today about the X phone?
It's also not supposed to be a Nexus, but it's gonna come with stock Android with some bloatware.
Okay.
Which the bloatware can be removed once unlocked, but most of it you can already remove, I think. On my S3 you can remove almost all of it.
Now, some of the stuff you were saying in your story that it's going to be sold in the Play Store, which will be nice.
Maybe.
And as well, also on multiple carriers. Is that what we're hearing? What's that?
Yeah, we're hearing multiple carriers. Well, they're saying all carriers. I don't know if that's just the big four, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint, or if that means like the MVNOs and the prepaid carriers. And all the other ones. That's
a great idea in theory, and I hope it happens. Will I see it happen?
Probably not.
That's a tough one to see it, especially with the Play Store. But if they really want to distribute this, and let's say put out a Google phone that competes directly with an iPhone or the other top devices, that's how they got to do it. They got to put it for, available for sale on the Play Store, and as well have it running out of every single carrier. That's the only way you're going to get world domination of a phone and get it out there to everybody. As they know with the Nexus 4, it's very hard to get these things out there if you're only on one carrier and you're also having distribution issues. And one of the things that makes kind of sense is Motorola doesn't have a whole lot going on right now. It's not like their manufacturing plants are, behind and they're making, tons of other stuff. I'm sure that they could definitely throw out this phone full force and supply enough people so everyone in the world could have a new Motorola X phone, unlike LG. That's just my little. I'm trying to stab LG wherever I can right now. I'm a little disappointed with them. But anyways, back to this rumor. It's got great specs, everything like that. I think we're going to hear a lot more about this. I don't think this story is going to die. I think it's only going to grow. You know, we heard a lot of stuff already, over the past 6 months about tablets, possibly Nexus devices, and maybe what some of those rumors were is that it was going to be this X phone. Maybe we're going to see an X tablet as well too, and I/O would be a perfect place for them to drop this stuff. So, as we get more information, right now it's a lot of speculation, grain of salt type of stuff, but we'll definitely keep on top of it and keep you up to date on the latest about it. Now, Tom, thanks for coming back. Buckingham Palace Secret Service cut you off, but you bypassed, hacked around it. Now you're back with us. Thanks for joining us.
You're
We're
welcome.
turning the show back over to you. Hopefully you'll be able to, talk a little bit before you get cut off again by the
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
All right. Now, we heard some rumblings last week about this device, and it seems like we had a few leaks come out already. We saw a potential fake render today, but we now have some confirmed specs, possibly. And why don't, before I reveal too much information, you take over this story, Tom?
Yeah, so we've been hearing a lot about, for quite a while now actually, about Samsung releasing a Galaxy Note around the 7-inch to 8-inch form factor, and for a long time it was thought they were going to use their 7.7-inch panel that they had used on the Tab 7.7, but apparently it's come out that they're going to use an 8-inch 1280 by 800 super clear LCD panel. Apparently the tablet itself is going to come with a 5-megapixel rear-facing camera, 1.3 up front, and with this potential fake render, it sort of looked like it was, a snapshot of some kind of promotional material, and the specs were bulleted, and it listed a 1.6 gigahertz quad-core processor with 2 gigabytes of RAM, and at the bottom there was S Pen. And it's going to have 16 or 32 gigabytes of internal storage. It's going to have support for micro SD cards. Come with all the usual connectivity fun, and have a 4600 milliamp hour battery, apparently.
Now this is definitely something that I could foresee coming out, because first off, they want to get in direct competition with the iPad Mini, which their 7.7 didn't really didn't have the specs to compare.
Well, the problem with the 7.7 was Samsung priced themselves out of the market. Like, the 7.7 was the best 7-inch tablet to have, because it was the only tablet at the time that had a resolution above 1024 by 600. But because it was AMOLED, it was so expensive that they just priced themselves out of the market.
Yeah, and I mean, they definitely want to undercut the iPad Mini. And I think these specs, while they're not quite exactly high-end, as we would say for the 7-inch market, they're kind of a mid-range specs that we're looking at here. And potentially that could be to keep the price point down so they can undercut their favorite company, Apple, and keep this in competition and pull away people from buying that device.
Yeah, well, me and Alex were talking about this earlier, and I think they're possibly going to use the same processor that they used in the Note 2. The higher clocked Exynos 4412, for a couple of reasons, really. Because obviously they know it works with S Pen, and the rest of their TouchWiz suite and software and stuff. So they know how to get the best out of that chip, and like you say, they've already got production sort of down to a T with that model now. It was in the European S3 and the Note 2 around the world. So if they were going to go with the same processor, then they can sort of hit the ground running, sort of thing. And I think pricing is going to be the big thing, because the Galaxy Tab 2 came out at the beginning of it was announced this sort of time last year. And that was designed to be sort of cheaper, but I mean, it still sort of retails for around the same price as the Nexus 7, and the Nexus 7 blows it away.
Now, one other thing that's kind of is the 8-inch size. Now, they're getting out of competing with the 7-inch Nexus devices and kind of the bottom of the barrel pricing devices that Nexus has created, with producing a fabulous tablet, but at a price point that you're going to have a damn hard time beating. So they move up to the 8-inch size. And 8 inch isn't a bad size, because sometimes I kind of feel like my 7 just a tad too small a little bit. But I'm not a fan of the 10, just for kind of portability and holding for me, for my uses personally. So an 8-inch is kind of like a size that definitely would interest me. And I think with the Apple is 7.7, so this kind of directly competes in that game for the size wise, but not infringing on the Nexus 7, which they can't even jump in that market technically, unless they're going to roll it out at rock bottom pricing.
Yeah, and I think the 8 inches, because obviously Apple are running that advertisement where the Nexus they've got it direct against the Nexus 7, and you can still fit the iPad Mini in your hand just about, and it's however percent larger, they say, but it's got a much lower resolution and stuff. So I think this is going to be Samsung's way of competing directly size-wise, as well as adding all of their Note suite and the S Pen phone as well.
What do you? Anyone else want to throw something in on that? What do you think? What do you think on that tablet there, Randy? Does it interest you much?
Is it an Nexus?
Okay, I think that answered that there.
No, actually, I'm really interested in it. I kind of almost maybe wanted that 8-inch Motorola Zoom 2 or whatever Verizon made them call it.
The Zyborg.
Yeah, that's it. That was stupid.
Yeah, I hated that thing.
It was the Zoom 2 over here, so we've got it. We have. Yeah.
I wanted that. If they ever came out with a Wi-Fi only version, I never saw it, and there was no way I was signing up to give Verizon another dime. So I never got it, but I used one for several days, and I love the size. So that S Pen kind of intrigues me. I don't hate Samsung like I hate HTC. So yeah, if it's got that S Pen, I'm buying it.
Tommy, you want to throw an HTC comment in there?
It's bring HTC up because they actually had a 7-inch true pen input device back with the Flyer, or the Evo View 4G, was it?
Yeah, but that was a piece of crap.
Yeah, exactly. That was a piece of crap.
That was on Gingerbread, I think.
Yeah, it launched with 2.3.4. It got an update to 3.1, I think. It might have got 3.2, but that's as far as it went. That was awful.
Spring pad or the springboard, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, if Samsung have now left it long enough to sort of people have forgotten, so people will try again. So I think they could do well. I mean, they've got to get it priced in between the Nexus 7 and the iPad Mini to have much of a chance.
I think that's the right pricing point, definitely for them. Let's move on to our next topic here, guys. And one of our writers, Lucian, had talked about this new device. We had touched on it a little bit last week, and since Lucian isn't on the show, he can't say anything about it, so we're going to hand it over to Alex in Detroit. Alex, what's the story on this device here?
The LG Optimus G Pro was announced by NTT Docomo in Japan, along with a ton of other devices they announced this week. It's got a quad-core 1.7 gigahertz S4 Snapdragon S4 Pro with the Adreno 320 GPU, 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, and it does have micro SD card support up to 64 gigabytes, along with a 13
or 64 just on its own.
It says 64 plus, but I'm not sure on that.
Okay.
There's also a 13 megapixel camera, along with LTE and Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean.
So overall,
I wonder if they can actually supply it though.
All right, before we start slamming on LG anymore, actually I saved some room at the end for it. How much different is this than the Optimus G, really?
Faster processor, but then the S4 Pro came in the original one to begin with.
It's extra 200 megahertz, man. I mean, come on. Across 4 cores.
I
0.2
don't.
megahertz.
I don't think the original one had the SD card support, did it?
Oh, well, there we go. That makes me want to fucking run out and buy it right this second.
I'm not sure about that. So
Well, you know, the
It at
13
least has Jelly
megapixel
Bean.
camera, the LTE, you know, the XD card, you know, blah, blah, whatever. The 2 gigabytes of RAM that came in it. I'm not seeing a lot of stuff that's on here that says I got to have this phone right away, or I got to get rid of my old Optimus G. I mean, it's, you know, a nice looking device. It's got a little Samsung-ish looking with it with a dedicated home button on it. But really, you know, I don't need to have this device if I got a G already, Optimus G. What the fuck do I need this thing for? Do I get that extra 0.2? You know, this is an HTC move here. You know, let's polish it up through a new paint job on it, give it an extra 0.2 gigahertz, and rebrand it as the Pro version. I don't see what's so fucking pro about it that's going to warrant my dollars for spending. And probably that's the reason why this thing was quietly launched on Monday in Japan and not around the world. This is not going to be a big seller. Great device on its own, but the other thing is the processor is, you know, while it's great in its own, it is 2012 processor. The quad-core, I can't even get my tongue. I'm so pissed off at LG right now. The Qualcomm has got a new 600 and 800 processor coming out, you know, which may not see something until the spring or the fall, which I'm sure the way LG brings out devices to North America, that this G Pro won't show up till the fall anyways. So, you know, why not, you know, announce at least a half-decent new processor of 2013 in it to begin with. I just see this as an HTC lateral phone trying to, you know, sell somebody, you know, another device who doesn't know exactly what they're buying. If you're out there and you're going to buy a G or a G Pro and the G is on sale, buy the G because this thing isn't worth the extra dollars. And that's how I feel about it. Anybody want to throw something in there about that?
Well, I think it's important to remember that this is for, you know, NTT Docomo. So I think LG is sort of playing a dangerous game between timing and you know, the rest of it, because like you say, it's basically just a G with a bigger screen. But timing-wise, like you say, this is going to come out sort of fall time over here. But by then, the Galaxy S4 is going to be everywhere. You know, the Xperia Z is more than likely going to be on AT&T. 1080p display, 1080p phones are going to be everywhere on the high end. So by the time this thing launches in the fall in the US, if it does launch in the US,
it'll be a budget phone. It'll be It'll be what you give to your 10-year-old kids because it doesn't have the specs to compete. Anyway, all right.
LG have long suffered from the whole model a minute situation, and while they play it regionally, it's still not. It's not a smart
That shit
thing
won't
to do.
work over here in North America. I'll just tell you, LG reps at home watching the show probably aren't and will never send us a demo device ever again. You can't go out and pull the HTC move of 2011 where you just make a few changes and rebrand the name and think that we're gonna, you know, announce or promote your device and be all happy and shit and giggles about it. It's not gonna fucking happen over here in North America. So you know what you can do with your LG Optimus G Pro? You can stick it up your you know what. Anyways, on that note, guys, not to get a little too upset, but let's move on to our next story here. In our next story, we're gonna head back over to Alex here. And Alex, what do we got coming in April?
Well, today Sam Mobile, they said they confirmed some details of the next generation Galaxy S device, which is supposed to be codenamed Altius, which I'm guessing they're calling it that because the number 4 is unlucky in Korea.
Yes, and like that would really fucking matter. Like they wouldn't sell 2 billion of these devices anyways. Not sure what the unlucky part of it is. You know,
but the specs that they said they've confirmed is a 4.99-inch Super AMOLED Full HD resolution display, a 2 gigabytes of RAM, the Exynos 5 octa-core, and with the Mali T658 GPU, 13 megapixel rear-facing camera with a 2 megapixel front-facing, a 2600 milliamp battery, and Android 4.2.1 Jelly Bean.
Now the specs don't seem too far off, from what we've kind of been talking about already. The battery may be a little bit lower. I think 2100 was what came in the GS3. The wireless charging kit, I don't know. I'm on the fence with the wireless charging. It's not really wireless in my mind if you still got to have it connected to something that's plugged into the wall, but that's another topic for another day. But these S4 rumors, take them with a grain of salt. We don't know the code name. Does that really matter to us? No. Is it something that we're going to be looking out for? Yes. This supposed model number is the GTI 9500. The specs are probably going to change as the Galaxy S4 rumor season has officially begun. You're going to see rumors coming from everything that this is going to be a 12-inch phone, and it's going to have a special 10-core processor in it, and it's going to have 8K screen. There's going to be crazy rumors coming. A lot of them are going to be fake. But I can tell you some things I will confirm. You will probably not see this actual renders or leaks of this device. Last year we did not see an actual blurry cam photo or a leaked version of the device anywhere. And the specs, while they were close, they weren't exactly bang on. I'm sure Samsung will probably bring out something new, something we don't expect. Probably a lot more bloatware and build up the Samsung ecosystem, as I like to call it, where they throw on more fancy bells and whistles onto the phone, and it'll still sell 70 million in the first week. But overall, it'll be interesting to talk about every week, as everyone wants to know what the next Galaxy S4 is. You guys have anything you want to throw in on potentially on the S4? Anyone? Oh, Randy.
Is it a Nexus? Is it a Nexus?
No.
Then they can keep that.
Okay.
No, I don't think. Well, I'm not sure that this is actually going to see the Exynos 5 Octa in it.
That would be beautiful if it would, because that's a monster processor.
Oh yeah. I think so as well. But I think.
Why would they not? What would they pull? What would they save it for? They could put it in another flagship device with flexible screen potentially.
Well, no. What I think Samsung might do, or what I think they ought to do, is that with the Galaxy S3 and the Note 2, they sort of, they're blurring the lines between the S line and the Note line. So. But traditionally, the Note line has always had better battery life, has always lasted longer throughout the day. It's always been more of a powerhouse machine. So you give the S4 a quad-core Exynos on Cortex A15, the 5450, I think it's going to be, and then you give the Note 3 the Octa, which is designed for power and power efficiency, and then you've got a real differentiator, and then you've got two fantastic flagships on your hands.
So you say give the more stronger processor to the Note 3.
Oh yeah, I mean the Exynos 5450 is not going to be slow. I mean, I have a Chromebook running the 5250, which is their dual-core Cortex A15, and just the 5250 that's in the Nexus 10 as well. That's pretty strong. I mean, if they
are great.
Oh yeah, I mean if you put quad-core in there,
Cortex, they're mods.
I mean I think they've got to somehow sort of make the Note line stand out as its own device. I mean, they did a really good job with the Note 2. I mean, the Note 2 was faster than the S3 a little bit.
Better battery life as well.
Yeah, exactly. They need to make it stand out as its own device and not just their device with a pen.
The other thing that I'd like to throw in there is where we're going to see that flexible display in there. And I had kind of talked about last week that maybe it's time for them to come out with a new flagship device. I think they could do 3 flagship devices without a problem, because they have all these little crappy ones that probably should be fucking buried in
I mean, they have the Galaxy Ace
need in the first place. So why not come out with a new flagship device, run that with it, and that would be a great way to promote it by either throwing the flexible display in it or the the Exynos 5 Octa in it. So, you know, could we see another one? Could that be the rumored 5.8 device or the 6.3, one of these crazy sizes that we keep hearing about now? We'll see. It's going to be a fun time coming this spring with tons of Samsung rumors. And you know they got the money to promote it, and they'll market the shit out of it and sell billions of them. So we'll see. All right, guys, and you know, we won't harp too much on this rumor because we're going to be seeing so much. When's it going to be announced? We had a little. Who is it that threw this out there today? I think one of our reporters, Chance Miller, had talked about that J.K. Shin had decided that he was going to announce that the Galaxy S4 will not be announced at Mobile World Conference 2013, which is not a surprise because they want their own show with all the limelight on themselves, hog the entire, you know, event, and there's too many distractions at Mobile World Conference, so they're just going to do their own, you know, dog and pony show probably in May to announce the S4. You guys think that's what's going to happen? Anybody?
I think March is more likely.
March.
Yeah, because Sam Mobile, they confirmed today that they're planning to ship the S4 on April 15th.
Oh, Sam Mobile,
really
come
early.
on.
That is really early.
I think it's still early. I think it'll still be May.
You know,
I think this time around timing's quite important because obviously MWC is going to be owned by HTC. It normally always is, and then we never hear anything from them for.
No.
You know, who?
Motorola? No, they're going to be at Google I/O with an X phone.
Yeah, they have their own event at Google I/O.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just got one tiny booth. But if they announced it in amongst all the other sort of things closer, then they could still get a big chunk of the limelight and the spotlight, and then also release it. They could still release it in the summer, or release it a little bit earlier in the summer than the S3. And I think that way they could they'd have a longer shelf life for it. And at the same time, I think this time around there are a lot more devices that are playing toe to toe with what the S4 is going to be. Because last year the S3 came out and there was only like the 1X that was close to it for a long time. Whereas now we've already got the Droid DNA, we've already got the Xperia Z and the ZL. So Samsung need to sort of hurry up.
Squash them in a sense.
Yeah, I mean 2012 they're in no rush, but this time around the game's already playing and they're not playing.
And I think you hit something that I was actually thinking about earlier, and is that when they launched, they have their big launch party, you know, at the end of May, and then by the time it gets to, you know, carriers, some of them were not launching until July, mid-July, crazy like that. You've already blown half of the year in sales. But on the other hand, they just dropped their S3, which is still selling tons. They want to milk that. So you're on, you know, which way do you go? But definitely having something out as soon as possible after Mobile World Conference will definitely, you know, that gives, you know, a couple of months for people to buy their, you know, 1X2s, M7s, or whatever the hell else comes out. So if they do a little bit of an earlier launch, they can, you know, obviously pick, you know, get those customers and get those all important, you know, subscribers, you know, choosing devices. So it'll be interesting to see if they wait again. It kind of was late summer almost by the time that those devices ended up in the hands of the users. So.
But it was still faster than the original Galaxy S and Galaxy S2.
No doubt. But I think what it is.
The Galaxy S launch in the States was abysmal. Honestly, it was hilarious.
A different name for each carrier, different specs.
That was crazy. That'll never happen again.
Fascinate.
You know,
well, not with Samsung, maybe with HTC.
No. But, you know, getting that device into the hands of the consumers earlier could be something that they definitely want to do. So it'll be interesting to see. As a point of from an Android site, I'd rather talk about the Galaxy S3 for the next 5 months straight. No, not really. You know, I'd rather it be released tomorrow. That's not going to happen. So, are we going to be talking about it for 3 months? We're going to be talking about it for the next 5 months? I'm not sure. Randy, what do you think?
Is this a Nexus that we're talking about?
Okay.
No, they're not. No, this S4 will not show up at Mobile World Congress. There's no way in hell.
No, it won't.
Not enough limelight there for Samsung, and I don't think it'll. I think you'll see a simultaneous launch on all carriers. This isn't going to be a piecemeal. You know, Verizon will have it. 6 months from next Tuesday, and T-Mobile. Maybe they'll get it this year. You'll see a simultaneous launch, but it'll be introduced at a Samsung event in New York where the limelight is on Samsung.
Samsung did it right last year. They showed how a device should be launched in terms of rolling it out. Every carrier around the similar date. That's how it should be for all devices. None of this bullshit of different times.
They'll go the Apple route this time. I believe this with my heart and my soul. It'll be available on any carrier that's going to have it on the same day at the same time for the same price.
That's the way it really should be.
It should be.
That's how
the same day. That's going to be a tall order though, because Verizon always want to launch later on to give shelf life to their other.
Samsung is to the point where they can begin to dictate certain things to Verizon.
No, I believe with Randy 100% on that. Samsung is now is iPhone-ish in how they can dictate, or even past iPhone-ish, where they can dictate the launch date, the pricing, the marketing that's going to go into it. Their heads are getting huge, and they can pretty well dictate on what's going to take place on it. And even the monopoly Verizon and their corporate red bullshit can't even hold a candle in the wind to what Samsung will dictate how this phone is launched. Mark my words.
Like it or not, they are the lead dog in the Android OEM.
They're the lead dog in technology out there.
Well, people aren't going to line up for the S4 like they do the iPhone, but they still are in a position of power. They're going to
sell more. They don't need to line up. They're going to sell more. Who cares if people are dumb enough to fucking stand in line all night for a phone? People are going to be buying it in droves.
They have the hang 'em downs to tell Verizon to shut the fuck up and release the phone on this date at this time for this price. And that's what they're going to do. And if Verizon doesn't do it, and Samsung says, well, you know what, then to hell with you guys, you're not getting the phone. Verizon's the one that'll pay. So Verizon will do what they're told when it comes to dealing with Samsung on the S4.
Exactly. I have another thought, but I'm going to save this one for next week in regards to the Samsung, because it will probably work in really perfect with what Randy's going to go on. Anyone want to throw out? We have a little story here that I thought I'd touch on the bottom before we finish up, and that's Nexus Gate. LG blaming fingers at Google for the Nexus 4 supply issues.
It's got to be 100% true. It has to be.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be Google's fault. It has to be Google's fault. LG.
You know what? There's a lot of share and blame in here. There is when we boil it down in my brain, and I'll throw out my 2 cents and let you guys go afterwards. But it takes two to tango. First of all, Google had to tell them how many devices they predicted. They showed them the sales stats from last year and potentially had a number in mind of what they felt that the new Nexus device was going to be selling, how many it was going to be selling. And so I blame, obviously, that on the guys who were doing the forecasting. They obviously didn't realize it was going to be this popular, but they did not, put their sales estimates together. They also did a really poor way of marketing the device that they decided, oh, we're just going to sell it on this day, and you go there. Well, the servers all crashed. We all know all that fucking bullshit that took place. But the whole premises is that they missed out on doing a pre-order. They could have started a bloody pre-order the month before when, the shit was getting leaked, or when they fucking announced the device to begin with. Then they would have gotten an idea of how many orders they actually needed to fill. Okay, instead of saying, oh, we're going to put it for sale, in X amount of days, and then, we'll try and figure out how many sales we need then. No, at least if there would have been a pre-order in advance, they could have said, shit, wow, this is a lot more. LG, get them on the phone. We need, ramp up production right now. The stuff is going off the hook. But no, they went with no, we're going to start selling it this day. Oh, no, we'll make some more available the week after. Oh, okay, now we'll take pre-orders. Oh, shit, we can't even supply all of the pre-orders till fucking February. What the hell is that bullshit? It was a piss poor launch, as bad as a launch could potentially get. Some people might say successful, that it sold that much, but the numbers are, from what I heard, weren't that, great, that the Nexus 4 was selling off the hook.
Sellouts don't mean shit if you don't have the context of how many numbers are behind that sellout. To say something sold out, fuck that. Did you sell 10 or did you sell 10 million? If you're not going to say, then just save your excuses and order more devices.
Exactly.
Google can't sell anything right. Look at the Nexus 7 and then the Nexus 10 after that, and now the Nexus 4, and look at the Chromebook. Look at all this shit with Google's name on it. It's like permanently on back order because their forecasting is just fucked. They don't know shit about retail, and it's obvious. They don't know anything about putting numbers into a spreadsheet and saying, oh, we think maybe we'll need this many. Well, we're only going to sell 100, so let's only work.
They need to learn how to use Google Sheets, clearly.
Yeah, they need to learn how to use something.
Yeah, they should know how to use it.
I've always been, as much as we're all Google fanboys here, Google has always had, a little bit of struggles with some of the marketing. And obviously with the sales forecasting, even when you're talking about devices, we can go back farther than that. We can go back to the Nexus 1 and how they botched that, and how the Nexus devices, how they're marketed, how they're pushed out, just from the Play Store, some of the carrier integrations, Verizon and stuff. Well, the Nexus devices in themselves are a success. The team that does marketing behind that and the people who do the sales forecasting, every single one of them need to be fucking fired in my brains, because all of them have done a piss poor job. Those devices have not been marketed properly. They are better than 9 out of 10 fucking devices that are for sale on Android, but yet they are marketed worse than 9 out of 10 of the devices that Android has for sale as well too. So, considering Google, on all their money, and as smart as they are, they don't get sales and marketing right, and they need somebody to come in and show them how to do it. And it just reiterates, you get them a lot of times at their Google I.O., and they have the developers come out as presenters and tell you about their new shiny devices. And these guys can barely talk. They have no excitement. They talk in monotones, and it's like, you're announcing a device, you're trying to get people excited, and you bring out some fucking geek who can't even get his wife excited in bed to produce, to show off your new flagship device that you want to sell millions. Okay, that's my rant.
Wow. They're all propeller heads. You're right. They don't know the first thing about marketing. They don't know the first thing about retail. They sure the hell don't know the first fucking thing about running an online store to sell these devices that they're not bothering to market or order enough of. They need a change. That something needs to, I guarantee you that somebody at Motorola in Illinois or wherever the hell they move their office to, somebody there knows how to properly forecast demand for a product. For a fucking cell phone, and maybe they should pick up the phone and
call him.
The wall. I know they're segregated, but I'm sure that they've probably got a phone directory for some of these people, and get a little bit of fucking help trying to figure out how many something they should have on the shelf for release day.
And I don't want to say the dirty word, Apple, but I mean, there's a company that knows how to put on a show when a new device comes out. There's somebody
always like that.
That knows how to take orders and forecast, potential sales for orders and supply and so on. And, and yeah, they've had some experience with it, but, steal a couple employees away, a couple of guys who knew it was going, because I'm not sure this mom and pop shop operation that the Play Store's got going with selling devices is working too fucking good. And that's how I really feel about it. All right, guys. Any last closing comments before we are totally blacklisted from Google Plus, YouTube, and Android?
Nope.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we've said it all.
I think we covered it.
All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us. It was a great show. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Tom. And in for the meantime and in between time, that's it for the Android Headline Show Age show number 23. See you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.